Shree Ganesha Sharada Gurubhyo Namaha. Sindhuraruna Vigraham Trinayanam Manikya Paranayaka Shekharam Smitamukhim Apinamakshoruham Panibhyam Aripurna Ratna Chashakam Raktotpalam Bibhratim Saumyam Ratna Ghatastha Rakta Charanam Dhyayet Param Ambikam. Welcome to all for this session on Lalitopakhyanam. In the previous part, we were hearing the story of turning the milky ocean by the Devas and the Danavas, and at the end of it, Dhanvantari arrived with a pot of nectar, and immediately Danavas snatched the pot of nectar from him, and that resulted in a battle between the Devas and the Danavas. Meanwhile, the Rudra and Brahma they left for their loka. Vishnu, on meditating on Parashakti, he assumed his female form, which was so adorable, so beautiful, that the Danavas got mesmerized by her beauty, and they handed over the pot of nectar to Mohini. Mohini, on receiving that pot of nectar, she asked all the Devas and Danavas to sit in two different lines and distributed the nectar to all the Devas, while she cheated the Danavas, handing the empty pot into their hand and disappeared. And then a battle again ensued, but the weakened Danavas they could not able to defeat the Devas and they fled the battlefield. However, in the meantime, Narada had observed the most beautiful female form of Sri Vishnu. Narada, who had witnessed the wonderful scene with Mohini as the heroine supreme, hastened with all speed to Kailasa and with the permission of Nandikesha approached Lord Shiva and Parvati, made obeisance to them. Hara welcomed the Muni, offered him a suitable seat, and questioned him thus: O thou repository of all news, knower of all that takes place in the three worlds, creator of quarrels and dissensions, even among friends and lovers, you were present at the recent battle between Devas and the Danavas for a share of the nectar. What wonders took place there? What did Vishnu do? What was the end of it all? To these questions, Narada replied thus: O Deva, although you know everything, you you still ask me, and so I shall relate to you what I have myself seen. While the Asuras were getting the upper hand over the Suras, and as the pot of nectar was still in the possession of the Asuras, Hari lost no time in transforming himself into the most ravishing form of Mohini, capable of deluding the three worlds with the help of Parashakti herself. This most enchantingly exquisite form of Mohini was bedecked with celestial ornaments which flashed like lightning and dazzled the eyes at every movement of her alluring body. The Devas and Danavas alike forgot their quarrels and in that instant and gazed fixedly at her as though fascinated and struck dumb at her unique splendor of form and movement. The Danavas obeyed her slavishly and automatically handed over the pot of nectar to her without another word. The amazing Mohini distributed all the nectar to the Devas. The Danavas were too much occupied gazing at her form of delectable curves with tempting feeling of passion to bother about what she was doing to the pot of ambrosia. Not till Mohini had put the empty pot before the Asuras and vanished from sight did the Danavas realize how they had been tricked and cheated out of their share of nectar. Overcome with keen disappointment and fuming with wrath, they fell as one man on the Devas, but the latter, with renewed vigor, were ready with their weapons and successfully drove the Danavas from their midst. Narada's description of Mohini and her exploits filled Lord Shiva with great curiosity to behold her. And so he went to Vaikunta accompanied by Parvati. Seeing the celestial couple approaching, Lord Vishnu rose from his Shesha couch and welcomed them both with great respect and affection. Embracing Lord Shiva and offering them suitable seats, he inquired the cause of their sudden arrival. Lord Shiva spoke with humor, referring to Lord Vishnu's recent impersonation as Mohini, and expressed his great desire to see the wondrous form with his own eager eyes. On hearing Hara's request, Hari smiled and vanished from their midst. With eager eyes, Lord Shiva began to search all around for the appearance of Mohini. Then, on a spot beside a parijata tree, he saw a form unseen ever before by him, bedecked with various fragrant flowers and sumptuously garlanded, a form so excelling in beauty of shape, curves, and movement as to make one forget oneself and dissolve in that celestial mirage of beauty. At that spot blossomed also all types of fragrant flowers of all seasons of the year, alive with buzzing bees, with peacocks playing around, a square tank of crystal pure water with floating lotus leaves and blossoms. Lord Shiva's heart so merged with Mohini's enchanting glamour that he was overcome with passion to possess her. The more his eyes fastened on her delicious mien and movement, the less could he control himself. He saw how her form scintillated with the varied hues of the rising sun, how it vibrated with vigor and charm. Her feet were ruby tinted, so as unto red lotuses were her dainty toes. The soles of her feet resembled the red lac in hue. Around her ankles were anklets filled with tinkling bells. Her calves were rival to Cupid's teeth of flowery arrows. Her shapely hips and thighs could scarcely be hidden behind her soft red raiment garments. Her dainty waist was sustained by three folds supporting a deep, round, swirling navel from which her torso widened and bloomed into two full and high breasts with teeth tantalizingly veiled behind a semi-transparent bodice. Pearl necklaces adorned her conch-like neck and played in her full bosom, her soft and smooth shoulders wide with the flowers of nature, while celestial ornaments bedecked every part of her body. Her chin shone like unto a mirror, soft in texture and almost transparent. Her lips were full and red. The teeth seemed like so many moons. Her nose ring excelled a star in its twinkle. Her eyes were long. Her forehead rivaled the bright half moon. Her voice, as she sang or spoke to the birds, was more sonorous than the sound of Veena. Her ears were adorned with sparkling diamonds. The chewed betel leaves in her shapely mouth scattered the enchanting scent of fresh camphor and musk. She had on her forehead a tilaka of bright musk. Her dark, luxuriant hair was adorned with kadamba flowers, while the hair parting shone like a bright ray. A sparkling crescent moon adorned her crest. Her looks played with Cupid, and her smile was bewitching, while the curves of her body were ravishing. All these Lord Shiva took in at one glance, and forgetting himself and his spouse beside him, he ran to the side of Mohini and taking her in his arms, embraced her over and over again. Coyly and tactfully, Mohini released herself from Shiva's embrace and ran away to hide among the enchanting flowery arbors. But Shiva was in the grip of Lord Vishnu's illusion, and unable to withhold his soaring passion, he succumbed to the arrows of Cupid and ran after Mohini, whom his celestial and sacred rethas was set free and fell on the ground. The spot where the rethas had fallen was instantly turned to burnished gold, and in its midst was a divine baby, mighty in power and effulgence, who to this day is worshipped as Dharma Sastha or Ayyappa. Mohini then vanished. Queller of Vindhya pride, Shiva reached Kailas again with the help of his spouse Parvati. So saying, Hayagriva spoke again to Agasthya, saying, O Lord of Lopamudra, I shall now relate to you the story of Bhandasura, which is a great secret undivulged before, and which removes all sins, giving the freedom of moksha to the one who understands its hidden meaning. Once Bhandasura, the head of the Asuras, desired to create different kinds of Danavas. From his right shoulder, he created for himself a brother by name Vishukra, who was equal into Shukracharya in his counsels and able to protect the company of Daityas. From his left shoulder, Bhandasura created a second brother, Vishanga by name. In addition, he desired and created a sister for himself by name Dhumini. Accompanied by his brothers and Daitya warriors, Bhandasura set out on his conquest, moving invisibly among the inhabitants of the three worlds and entering their bodies. They sucked up all the rasa or fluids and left their victims weak and shriveled up. Even the Trimurtis, Brahma, Vishnu, and Rudra, their respective lokas, unwilling to encounter the Asura in battle, for they knew the extent of his prowess born of Rudra's own wounds. All the Devas and Devatas lost their tejas and were panic stricken. Some fainted, some fled to the underworlds. Some hid in the depths of the ocean, some in the hilly countries, some in the inaccessible forests, some changed their appearances and lived incognito, forgetting Sargaloka and bereft of their pristine vigor. The cruel Bhandasura was filled with pride, and with his strong and harmful armies, he ruled and controlled all the lokas, including the Yakshas, Nagas, Siddhas, Sadhyas, Kinnaras, Gandharvas, Garudas, etc., slightingly looking upon Vishnu, Brahma, and Rudra as though they were quite insignificant. But listen, O Muni, Bhanda was soon destroyed and all the Lokas saved by Devi in another avatar risen from the Chidagni Homa or Parashambhu, wherein all living creatures, including Devas and Danavas, offered their bodies in sacrifice, self sacrifice. People call her by various names, of which Lalita is one. Shiva, she has a beautiful form with four arms bearing noose, the Pasha, goad, Ankusha, bow, and five arrows. A personification of Paradevi, well versed in the arts of warfare. She utterly routed and destroyed Bhanda and his creation in a great battle. Hearing Hayagriva speak thus, the great Muni Agasthya questioned him again, saying, how was Bhandasura born? How did Paradevi Lalita happen to rise from Chidagni of Parashambhu? How was Bhanda destroyed in battle? I am most desirous of hearing it all. Kindly enlighten me. Thus, in this part of the story, we have heard that Narada went to Kailasa and told him about the celestial beauty of Mohini, who is the female form of Vishnu. On hearing this, Shiva came all the way to Vaikunta along with his spouse Parvati. On seeing the divine couple, Vishnu got up from his couch and treated both of them well. And then Shiva asked him to show the Mohini form of Vishnu, for which the Vishnu, his female form, and Shiva fell in love with that beautiful female form which is blessed by Parashakti, the Parashakti form of the Vishnu himself. And then Shiva ran behind him, while in the meantime his rethas came out and fell on the ground, from which arrived a beautiful baby who was later named as Dharma Sastha or Ayyappa and is being worshipped even today. And then in the meantime, Hayagriva told to Agasthya about the story of Bhandasura, who achieved his victory over all the triple world, driving away all the gods, all the devas and the devatas, and also could able to win over Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwara. And then Agastya asked him for the details of the story of Bhandasura, how he was born, and later how he was killed by Parashakti Devi Lalita. Namaste Sharada Devi, Kashmira Puramasini, Twamaham Prarthaye Nityam, Vidya Danancha Dehime. Goodbye.